Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. Glad to be with us today. If you're just joining us, welcome. If this is your first podcast with us, this is kind of a cool time. We're live. And what we do is I do two 24-minute segments. So if you have a question, you can write it down on whatever platform you're on. And in 24 minutes, we will then have my producers ask me questions. I'll answer the questions. And then we go on to part two. We do another 24-minute segment, and then I answer more questions. So it's really pretty simple. It's kind of neat. If you're listening live, put in hashtag live. It's 1 o'clock on Monday, July 17th, 2023. If you're listening on replay, just put in hashtag replay. So hashtag live. If it's live, hashtag replay. And that just lets the bots in the universe know who we are and that you guys are listening. So that's it. There's not much else to explain except we do the show for you. So you guys are ready to rock? Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am glad you're with us today. What we're going to talk about today is something that's really important to your health. We're going to talk about sleep. And that's really one of the things that very few doctors ever talk about, but it's so vital because that's when the body heals. What happens is you're awake all day, and in a perfect world, you wake up in the morning, and a hormone in your body called cortisol spikes. That means it goes up. So cortisol goes up, and then throughout the day, your cortisol levels start to drop. And it drops, and then at the end of the day, you start getting tired because the cortisol level is low, and then you fall asleep, and the next day, it repeats the cycle. But what a lot of people do is they have a messed up cortisol cycle. So you can have high cortisol all day. That usually means you're very stressed out, and you're running on that energy all day. If your cortisol is flat, meaning it's low, that means your adrenal glands, the gland that produces the cortisol, is pretty much burned out. That's a metaphor. And you're not producing enough cortisol. And that's really bad because cortisol does a lot of things in your body. So we like to test cortisol on our patients to see where the cortisol is, because if it's spiking, we got to be concerned what's causing the stress. And there's three types of stress we always have to look at. There's chemical, physical, and emotional stress. Now, chemical stress would be food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. And so we do a workup on every one of our patients, and we do an analysis to determine what's causing their chemical stress. Is it your diet? Is it your environment? Are you using chemicals in your house? We'll put this statement in the Dr. Joe Was Right column. I saw a commercial the other day for a lawyer, and they said, have you had this type of cancer conditions? You know, the commercials usually start. Well, if so, you may be part of a class action lawsuit against PFAs. PFAs are chemicals that are released, let's say with frying pans, nonstick frying pans. If you have something you sprayed on your furniture to make it waterproof, carpet cleaners, carpet repellents. And I thought, wow, I've been talking about these environmental toxins forever. And finally, somebody's making note. Now, I'm not a big fan of suing everybody. I think that's kind of stupid. But it's to the point now where enough people have gotten sick and probably died that we have to take action against it. And if the manufacturers aren't going to self-police, well, then maybe it's time somebody poked them a little bit. So there are things in your environment that we have to be concerned with, and we do that on every patient. We do nutritional workup too, because that's the one thing you have the most control over. What you're eating. Nobody forces a fork in your mouth, but you do. And so we have to discuss with you, what are you eating, what to eat, what not to eat, or the supplements you should take. So that can affect the body. And then we want to look at the physical stress. Do you have pain? How many people have pain? Raise your hands. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, high blood pressure, could be caused from muscle spasms. If you have pain, we want to get to the cause of the pain and not just treat the symptoms. Now, that's a very different approach. Many healthcare providers are very good at covering up pain. However, I don't want to just cover up your pain. I want to fix the cause. And so that's why we do an analysis to find out why you have pain. Chiropractic care, by the way, most effective, least expensive treatment for pain. Back pain, anyway. So if you have back pain, chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive. Start there, obviously. So we want to look at, we're talking about stress and cortisol levels and sleep. So if your stress is high, cortisol level can be high. Chemically, you can be affecting your cortisol levels and your sleep. Physically, you can be affecting your cortisol and your sleep. And then emotional stress. Now, I can't fix the emotional stress. If you had a death of a loved one, if you ended a relationship, had job issues, issues with your friends, your family, I can't fix that part. But if we can get the chemical stress and the physical stress under control, it's a lot easier to deal with the emotional stress. And that's an interesting twist. And that's why a lot of people that have anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, they come to us and we try to fix the other two, and a lot of those other things get better. And so with the emotional stress, if you don't address the physical and the chemical, the emotional will probably never get the results that you want to get rid of it. So that's what we try to do, is fix the stresses in the body to help you get into that sleep. Because sleep is when the body heals. It's so important. But there's a lot of other things that you can be doing or are doing every single day that's adversely affecting your sleep. So let's talk about some of those right now. Number one, got to talk about caffeine. Of course, if you have coffee after dinner, it's American. You go to a restaurant, there's like some coffee with that after dinner, maybe your dessert, yes. So by 3 a.m., you're still lying awake. Well, coffee lurks in not just, caffeine lurks not just in coffee, but tea, chocolate, soda, energy drinks, aspirin. Aspirin many times has caffeine in it. So you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I got this blazing headache. Let me take some aspirin and go to bed. Take aspirin. I can't sleep. This headache is killing me. The headache is keeping me awake. It wasn't the headache, it's the caffeine. Now, I have known people in my life that are able to drink coffee and go to sleep, which amazes me. But everybody metabolizes things differently. So if you're metabolizing the coffee in a different way, it may not have the same impact on you. I'm still not a fan of coffee. Because of all the foods out there, coffee is the most sprayed food there is. When I say sprayed, with chemicals, fungicides, weed killers. And so when you're drinking the coffee, you're drinking those toxic chemicals. So I'm not a fan of coffee for that reason. It's also a very strong acid. So when you put acid in your body has to neutralize the acid, and the body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So your body is giving up calcium to neutralize the acid from the coffee and the caffeine and the chemicals, and it's a diuretic. It makes you pee, so it dehydrates you. So I'm not a fan of coffee for multiple reasons. But if you're having trouble sleeping, start to think, am I getting a stimulant in my body toward the end of the day? Tea, maybe you're having sweet tea, iced tea, yeah, that can do it. Chocolate, sodas, aspirin, just kind of go through your diet and what you're putting in your body and say, oh, I never realized that was a stimulant. That could be adversely affecting your sleep. Now, some of you might think, well, I'm going to have a drink before I go to bed. It's going to help relax me, unwind me. I understand that, and caffeine, alcohol, is a perfect way to end the evening for some people. Well, it's not. Alcohol messes with your deep sleep, which is important for restfulness, memory, and brain function. Your brain heals and kind of cleans house when you sleep. And if you're not getting into that deep sleep, the body isn't able to clean house, get rid of the junk, and reboot. So alcohol might make you drowsy, but oftentimes wakes you up just a few hours later. It's also diuretic, makes you pee. And that's a big issue, especially if you're over probably 40 years old, that you just can't hold your pee like you used to. And so what happens is you wake up in the middle of the night, you got to go pee. Sometimes you go right back to sleep. Sometimes you can't. So I prefer not to have you waking up and peeing all night with things like coffee and alcohol, which are diuretics. That's a big issue. The other issue with alcohol lowers your testosterone levels. Now, why does that have to do with sleep? Testosterone, the first thing you think of is your sex drive hormone. But testosterone also builds muscle. And not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart's a muscle? How about your colon? How about your blood vessels? Sex organs. And so you can be adversely affecting the muscles in your body. And then the muscles aren't contracting properly, which can affect circulation, which indirectly can affect sleep. So many reasons not to drink alcohol. Probably the most important to me is the testosterone. I don't drink, so I can't state that. But the testosterone is a big issue. Because if your testosterone drops and your heart gets weak, it's not a good sign. So another reason not to drink alcohol. And I always tell you, if you drink, for every alcoholic drink you should have 3 glasses of water. Well, if you're drinking 3 glasses of water with one alcohol drink, you're drinking at night, you're going to be up peeing again. So a lot of this would be common sense if you just thought about it. And you said, well, Dr. Joe, you're right. I do wake up a lot. Maybe it's an issue. Now, with men, we also have to think about prostate. Your prostate is your urethra. Your bladder kind of drains a tube, runs through your prostate, and then comes out of your body. If the prostate is swollen, it can constrict that tube and prevent the water from flowing out. And if you're an older man, you may have experienced that. You stand there, you try to pee, it stops, it starts, it stops, it starts. That could be benign prostatic hypertrophy, which means the prostate is just larger, or prostatitis, which means you have an infection. Now, if that's the case, I'm not going to go into that today because half our audience isn't man. Half the audience doesn't have prostates. But you can go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in men's health issues. Just type the words men health issues in the search bar, and we did a real good show on that. You want to listen to that because prostatitis or benign prostatic hypertrophy can lead to prostate cancer. And we don't want to play that game. So, yeah, check on that. Other things that keep us awake at night. How about surfing the web? We do it. We all do. Obviously, I'm assuming you do. But there's a light that comes off screens, computer screens, phone screens, TV screens, called blue light. And blue light adversely affects your sleep patterns. And so if you're having trouble going to sleep, the first thing you do, like most people, I'm going to grab my phone. I'm just going to surf until I fall asleep. Well, that could be a bad thing. That could really prevent you from actually going to sleep. So what you could do instead is, let's go old school. Get a book, sit down, read a book. You'll be amazed how quickly you start to fall asleep, in most cases. So the blue screens are a big issue. It's more of an issue now, and the reason I say that is I've been in practice 38 years. When I first got in practice, we didn't see a lot of the issues we see today. We didn't see a lot of sleep issues because we didn't have blue screens. We didn't see a lot of neck issues in young children. Now we see it constantly. Why? We call it tech neck or texting neck. You're looking down at your phone. And when you look down, the weight of your head moves forward. Now, your head weighs 10 pounds. That's the size of a bowling ball. And your neck is only about the size of your index finger. It's a very small neck holding up this big bowling ball size head. So you're supposed to have a curve in your neck. And the curve is supposed to have the concavity in the back, convexity in the front. So the arch should be in the back, and the bulge of the arch should be in the front. That acts like a spring, and it acts as a cushion underneath your head. And so every time you walk, it bounces on the spring, and you're in good shape. When you bring your head forward, for every 2 inches you bring your head forward, that's about another 10 to 20 pounds of stress on your neck. You already got a 10-pound head. Now you're bringing it forward another 20 pounds. 4 inches, another 20 pounds. That's like 40, 50 pounds you're trying to hold up. It's a lot of weight. And your body is capable of doing it, but over time it changes the shape of your neck. And if the bones move out of place in the neck, they can pinch nerves. Now, if you pinch a nerve, one of the things that happens is it hurts. However, 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You can have pinched nerves and not know it. So, for example, you don't feel your blood pressure. It's controlled by nerves. You don't feel your spleen, your kidneys, your thyroid, your prostate. So my concern when I evaluate patients, and my staff does too, it's not only the nerves that feel pain, it's the 90% of the nerves that don't feel pain. Because if we take a patient on, take them into our office as a patient, we don't want to get them out of pain. We want to get them well. So we don't just check for pain. We check the nerves that control the organs as well. So that's why this tech neck or this texting neck has created a whole new genre of patients for us. We didn't have this 20 years ago, 10 years ago even. We didn't have it, but now we do. And so it's not good for society because it's putting a lot of stress on your nervous system. Your nervous system controls everything. And if your neck hurts and you have headaches, that can affect your sleep. And I know I'm talking about sleep, and you're thinking, well, Dr. Joe, it's just sleep. No, sleep is one of the most important physiological things your body can do. You have to rest. Your body detoxifies. It cleanses itself when you sleep. Think about this. You wake up in the morning after a 6-8 hour sleep. Your breath stinks, your hair's greasy, your armpits sweaty and stink, your feet stink. If I'm awake for 8 hours, I don't have those reactions. My hair doesn't get greasy, my breath doesn't stink, my armpits stink. What happens is when you're sleeping, the body's able to go through the liver's be able to break down waste products and pass it out through the skin, through the breath, through the scalp. And so your body has to go through this cleansing process. And many of you don't allow your body to go through that cleansing process. And that's when we start to have long-term health issues. And so sleep is related to every disease known to man. The more sleep we get to a point, the better off we're going to be when it comes to health. Now, we talked about neck pain. If you have pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, come see us. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for pain. Why wouldn't you want to get the most effective, least expensive treatment for anything? Certainly your pain, but remember, 90% of your nerves don't feel pain, so you can have pinched nerves and not know it. So if you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, go to my website right now, drjoe.com, make an appointment. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, and we want to be your doctors. We want to check your nervous system. We want to check your digestive system. We want to check your diet. We want to find out what we can do to fine-tune your body and make you healthier. Get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptom. So if you go to the website, drjoe.com, you can book an appointment. Normally, the first visit is $940. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. $299, exam, consultation, x-rays, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone are going to cost you more than that. The nutrition evaluation with everything that goes with it is probably going to cost you more than that. So drjoe.com, we'd love to be your doctors. You can book an appointment right now. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents. If you're ever in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. So if the car's damaged, you're damaged. You want to get that taken care of immediately. You will. You will get phone calls from people if you're in a car accident saying, hey, this is Bob, and you need to go see this doctor and this lawyer. It's a scam. Your information is now put online, your police report, and there are people literally sitting at the computers waiting for police reports to come out. And as soon as they come out, bam, they call the person immediately. It's a lie. You're going to get scammed. You're probably going to get not the treatment that you need, and you're probably going to get worked over, I'll be gentle, by the attorneys that they recommend you to. Don't fall for it. And it's illegal. So I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. What we're talking about today is sleep and the things you're doing to wreck your night's sleep. Now, if you're a napper, if you like to take a nap, naps are great. You want to try to take your nap before 3 o'clock, let's say. But if you take a nap after 3 o'clock, many times that prevents you from going to sleep at night. Temperature is a huge factor with sleep. I know there's a big heat wave going on in certain parts of the country, and one of the big issues is that people aren't able to get to sleep. I know the nighttime temperature wasn't going below 90, I heard, in one of the states. And so if you have air conditioning, that's one thing, but if your air conditioner is broken or you don't have the capabilities to have that, now you're going to open up yourself to a lot of other health issues. So sleep is really important. Temperature is important. Humidity, of course, can make it worse. And if you're in the Atlanta area, you know about humidity. We are the humid capital of the world. So like many good things in life, you got to get a good night's sleep. The temperature that works, because people ask me this, well, Dr. Joe, what temperature works? It depends on you. I like it like 72, okay, maybe 74. I'm okay with 76. Some people like it really cold. I don't understand why people bundle up with sweaters and coats and blankets in the summer with the air conditioner on. Well, make the air conditioner lower. So anyway, it's a mystery to me. But find a temperature that works for you. Some people like to sleep with socks on. Some people like to sleep in pajamas. Some people like T-shirts. Whatever works best for you is going to work. Just know what works. Another issue, a big issue, and this has so many health implications when it comes to sleep and other things, is you eat too late at night. So what happens is this. Stand up. Well, don't imagine you're standing up. And in the middle of your body, you have a sheet of muscle called the diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm has two holes in it, one for your blood vessels and one for your esophagus. So you swallow food, and it goes through a hole in your esophagus. It goes through a hole in your diaphragm, and it drops into the stomach. That hole can open and close. So that hole closes, you digest food, and you pass it on. It's your small intestine, and that's digestion. So if I'm standing up, I have gravity pulling my stomach down, and I'm in good shape. I got gravity helping me. As soon as I lay down, I lose gravity. So now if I eat a meal late at night, that food in my stomach can push up against my diaphragm. Well, why is that important? Your diaphragm, when you inhale, drops down, and when you exhale, pushes up. That's breathing. Diaphragm goes up and down. If I'm standing, I have gravity assisting that diaphragm. If I'm laying down, the stomach pushing up against the diaphragm can prevent it from moving down, and I may not get enough air in. And if I can't get enough air in, I gasp for air. Many times it's snoring. And so if that's the case, you're not getting enough oxygen, so you're not going into that deep REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. You're not getting all the rest that you need. So in many cases, and I've seen this countless times in my career, we tell the people not to eat so much at night, and then we check their stomachs. And if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, there's actually a test we can do. It's very simple. we can actually adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when we do that, now the diaphragm is able to go up and down. We tell them to stop eating big meals at night. And what happens then is they're able to breathe. Countless patients over the years have come to us and said, Doc, I don't snore anymore. Or their spouse has said they don't snore anymore. So not only will it help get rid of pain, because sometimes it hurts when a diaphragm is not moving, but it also allows the diaphragm to move up and down. So it's interesting because people come to me and say, well, Dr. Joe, chiropractic is great for pain. But when they listen to the podcast and the shows, read my articles, my books, they say, I never thought about this before. And the people that impress me the most when they say that are my fellow physicians. I have orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons, hospital administrators come and say, I never thought that so much of healthcare can be physical, not chemical. Because the medical model is very much based on chemistry. Now, there is some physical, but mostly chemistry, drugs, surgeries, things like this. But if a bone is out of place, put it back in place. Before you do surgery, before you do injections, let's try to put that bone back in place and see if that helps. If it doesn't help, we can always do more. Let's start with the most effective, least expensive treatment. And for pain, back pain, would be chiropractic care. With digestive issues, many times the stomach just needs to be pulled back down. Not every case, but in many cases that works wonders. And you're able to breathe better, you're able to stand up straighter. The stomach starts to flatten out because the bloating, the rotten food isn't passing from the stomach into the small intestine. People's stomachs flatten out. There's so many benefits that happen when you realign the body physically. And then we do a nutrition evaluation on everybody, making sure you got the right chemicals in your body. I usually recommend supplements for patients because even though, I eat a plant-based diet. I've been plant-based now for 37 years. But I still want to make sure I'm getting all the nutrients that I need. That's why I take things like Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I take things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens. That's the minimum supplements, by the way, everybody should be taking. If you're not taking those, if you have questions, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. But those are the minimum supplements I believe everybody should take. They're powders. Take a scoop of each. Shake it up with some coconut milk, almond milk, hemp milk, chia seed milk, soy milk. Drink that every day. I can't imagine a day going by without having that in my life. It's just, if I have to give you one piece of advice, that's it. Second piece of advice, equally as important, check your spine. Check all the joints in your body. If they're out of alignment, put them back in alignment. If the tires on my car are out of alignment, I get it aligned immediately. And if your body's out of alignment, so many people go, oh, suffer, I'll take some pills, which I'm going to talk about next, and that'll cover up the pain. Nothing wrong with covering up the pain, but fix the problem. Make sense? I hope so. So if you want to make an appointment, just go to my website, drjoe.com. We'd get you an appointment probably right this week. We can get people usually in every week. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. If you have questions, call us. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. If you have health questions, you could email me through the website, drjoe.com. We've got a lot more to cover, but I want you to follow us on social media. We post every single day. We post health tips. We have fun things. So many people all around the world. In fact, we're viral on so many different platforms, Facebook, TikTok. So many people, I get emails literally 20, 30, sometimes 100 times a day. Thank you for all that you post. So follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. That's my handle, at Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Thread. So follow us because we're going to post a lot of good information. And then if you have questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we post 2 podcasts a week. More, sometimes more. But you can see all the old podcasts as well. And if you have any questions, you can go to the website and just type in the search bar what you're looking for. Men's health, blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, weight loss, brain function, whatever it is. We have over 4,000 hours of audio and video on the website, drjoe.com. So just type in what you're looking for. Chances are we've done something on that topic. And if you still have more questions, you can always email me, drjoe.com. I hadn't said this in a while. If you're VA, first of all, thank you for your service, but the Veterans Administration is your source of health care. If the VA refers you to us, the VA pays for the treatment. So if you have a health issue, especially back pain, go to your VA doctor and say, hey, I want to go see Dr. Joe Esposito. And many, many times they just give you a referral because the VA, most regular doctors don't want pain patients. We love pain patients. So folks, again, the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We'll be right back. Bam. Any questions?
How do I reduce my body fat?
All right, go to my website, drjoe.com, and I'm going to have you do two things. Number one, type in weight loss and listen to the show we did on weight loss. Because fat is a warning sign. It's just like pain. It's just like blindness. It's just like digestive issues. Fat is telling you that your chemistry is so far off. And you've got to get that balance. Because fat, when I went to school, fat was just this blob. And it wasn't good. Well, it turns out that fat does a lot of things. Fat actually produces its own hormones. Fat can produce estrogen. And in men, what happens is if you're fat, and I used to be fat, so I can say the F word, testosterone goes into a fat cell, comes out as estrogen. And estrogen causes you to lay down fat. And fat produces estrogen, which causes you to lay down fat. So fat is a very serious health issue. It's not just, oh, I don't look good in a bikini. It's a very serious issue. You're developing organs that produce dangerous hormones. And, I mean, there's blood supply. If you're fat, you have artery issues, you have liver issues, you have digestive issues. So listen to that show. If you can do everything I say in the show, great. If you feel you can't, type in 21 day. That's all you have to do. And it'll bring up a 21-day jumpstart fat loss program that we have. Because what happens is when you're fat, there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus that makes you hungry. And when you're fat, the hypothalamus isn't working right because you eat too much food. And so what we can do is the 21-day detox cleanse helps reset the hypothalamus. It helps you avoid cravings. Everyone that's ever done it, everyone who's done the 21-day cleanse comes back to me and say, Dr. Joe, for the first time in my life, I have control over my own eating habits. I can eat a cookie, but I don't have to eat a box of cookies. And I can pass up on cakes and donuts. So it actually resets the brain. So that's where I'd say you start. And then if you can't do that, well, you need to. After 21 days, if it still doesn't work, then check with me and it might be something else going on. But chances are that's what it is. What else?
Is it normal to sweat profusely at night?
No. I don't know if you're a man or a woman. If you're a woman, it could be estrogen. It could be, again, the hypothalamus comes into play again. Hypothalamus is your thermostat in your body. And when you're of childbearing years, estrogen goes into the hypothalamus and controls it so you don't sweat so much. As you start going through menopause and after menopause, the estrogen levels drop, and so the estrogen isn't managing the hypothalamus as well as it should. And so that's an issue. So if you're sweating profusely at night, if you're a woman, it could be an estrogen thing. If that's the case, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in women's health issues and listen to that show. If you're a man, you could have something called hyperhidrosis, or a woman, and there are nerves in the middle of the back called the sympathetic chain ganglion. And if they're being irritated or pinched, it can kick you into what's called the sympathetic mode. Sympathetic mode speeds you up. I'm in a sympathetic mode right now. I'm thinking, I'm talking, you're listening, you're running, you're working. Parasympathetic mode is sleep, sex, going to the bathroom. That's when you should go into that parasympathetic mode. If you're sweating at night, you're probably not going into the parasympathetic mode because you may be irritating the sympathetic chain ganglion. Bottom line is you have a pinched nerve. And so either way, you might want to come see us. And if man or woman, we can do an analysis on the nervous system, and we can also do an analysis on your hormones. We do a great test called the Dutch test, the UTCH, and we can determine hormone levels and then what we need to do to balance that. So it most likely is a hormone issue or a neurological issue. What else?
Is chili without meat healthy?
Sure. Absolutely. No problem with that. Now, it's going to be a cooked food, obviously. So if you're going to do a vegan chili, I don't like those meat substitutes. You know, textured soy protein, autolyzed yeast, and things like that. I don't like that. But if you're going to do chili or any cooked food, I recommend you take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes with it. That's nitric oxide. Yeah. I recommend you take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes with it whenever you eat cooked food. And it's going to be amazing how much your digestive system works better. But it's a great way to stay young, too. So, what else?
Assuming that my thyroid is good, can chiropractic help with my anhydrosis?
Oh, yeah, probably. Again, if it's due to a pinched nerve. But again, it could be a hormone issue, too. So, anhydrosis is without you're not sweating or abnormal sweating. So, yeah, you can, chiropractic care might be the answer. So come see us and let's see. What else?
That's
Garrett, any questions? You're okay too? All right, good. All right, part 2. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Sorry about that. Let's start that one over again. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. What we're talking about today are habits that you have that are wrecking your sleep. Things that you do every single day that are messing with your sleep. And why is that important? Well, tired, of course, is a big issue. But there's so many health issues that go along with not sleeping properly. Every disease known to man is going to benefit from a good night's sleep. And you, no matter what you are, who you are, you've got to get that rest in. Your body needs to cleanse itself. The brain needs to reboot itself. The digestive system needs a break. And so sleep is so vital. So one of the things that can be affecting your sleep is your medication that you're taking. You're supposed to take meds before you go to bed. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to tell you to take them or not take them. You got to decide. You got to do what your doctor tells you. But some prescription medications can keep you from getting good quality sleep. And some over-the-counter ones can do too because they're loaded with stimulants. So check with your doctor, find out what you're taking, and if you're taking something that is keeping you awake, ask the doctor if there's a substitute for it. Can I substitute this for that give me similar reaction without the sleep issues? We said earlier something as simple as aspirin can have caffeine in it. So just think about that. Gosh, I can't sleep, doc. Ever since I hurt my back, I've been on these medications. Maybe it's the medication, not your back. Maybe it's the high blood pressure, diabetes, birth control pills, whatever it is, see if one of the side effects is sleep, and if it is, see if there's an alternative. That's the goal. And of course, my goal always, when somebody's on a medication, is not take them off the medication. My goal is get you healthy enough so that you don't need the medication anymore. Can we do that? I don't know. Is it worth a shot? Absolutely. People are amazed when they get their nervous system working, digestive system working, their diet straightened out, how they can give up so many of their medications. In many cases, not all, but many. And the biggest complaint I get, why didn't somebody tell me this sooner? I took these medications for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Nobody ever told me there was a way to fix it, so I didn't need it. We talk about acid reflux. Okay, if you have taken medication, keep taking it. But if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, we may be able to adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. If that solves the acid reflux, you don't need the medication anymore. Again, you and your doctor have to decide that, not me. But we can give you the tools, hopefully, to fix the cause and not just treat the symptoms. Sometimes you can't. Type 1 diabetes, haven't come up with a cure for that one yet. Type 2 diabetes, many cases, you can reduce or eliminate medication just through diet. Not always, but many. Heart disease. When I went to school 100 years ago, we were taught heart of the arteries, heart disease, it was forever. Nothing you can do about it. Well, it turns out that people like Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. McDougall, they've done research on this, and they realize they can reverse heart disease in many cases strictly through diet. Why wouldn't you do that? If you have heart disease, if you have high blood pressure, if you have diabetes, why wouldn't you at least try to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms? Well, I don't have an answer for that. It's a rhetorical question. All right, other things that can prevent you from sleeping properly. Pain. You ever been in pain and try to sleep? Doesn't work real well. I broke my back. I remember those days. Wasn't fun. So if you're in pain, let's try to find out why you're in pain. I have a traumatic brain injury. I was hit by a car when I was 10 years old. I have a traumatic brain injury. Notice the words that I'm using. I have. You always have it. The brain is damaged. You always have it. Now, when I studied to become certified in traumatic brain injury, the book was very thick and it was a lot of studying, and I was very disappointed. And what I was disappointed in, they talked about how to deal with somebody who has traumatic brain injuries. Okay, you can't work, you can't have sex, you have to use a wheelchair maybe if it's severe, and there's government programs available to help you. And what about the patient? What can I do for my traumatic brain injury? And the good news is there's a lot of things that can be done. So, for example, in a traumatic brain injury, when the brain is damaged, releases something called glutamine. Glutamine is the bad component of monosodium glutamate. And it's excitotoxin to the brain. It can cause severe pain and headaches. So a nice way to deal with that is, A, cut out the glutamine from your diet, things like Chinese food, monosodium glutamate, Monosodium glutamate has over 40 different names. In the first book that I wrote, Eating Right for the Health of It, I have a chapter on that, and it has over 40 different names. Autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, natural flavors, broth, weird places they hide glutamic acid or monosodium glutamate. So I sit down with my patients who have traumatic brain injuries, and I'll say, these are the foods you have to stay away from. Okay. And also magnesium. Magnesium can help calm down the glutamic acid reaction. And most of us are deficient in magnesium. So now suddenly, in this few minutes I just spoke to you, we have a very, very superficial, functional dietary plan for traumatic brain injury patients. I wish more doctors taught that. So when it comes to pain, many times there's a chemical response to it, along with a physical cause. And so with chiropractic care and proper nutrition, many times we can get to the cause of your pain and then hopefully get you to a point where you can get back to sleep, get back to work, get back to loving and living and having fun. That's always our goal. With men especially, if there's a traumatic injury in the low back, that nerve controls the colon, sex organs, and bladder. And we have seen countless patients over the years that had sexual dysfunction after a low back injury. And we put the bones back in place. We talk about supplements to increase circulation, get them off the foods that are clogging up the arteries like saturated fats. And in many cases, sexual function returns. Now, we can do stimulants. There are things you can inject yourself to return function, but it doesn't really fix anything. It actually, over time, can make it worse. So we always want to check the nerves because they control organs as well as cause pain. And then for supplement-wise, I would say nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and increases circulation. Now, nitric oxide will last about 6 to 8 hours in the body. So I take nitric oxide supplements every morning. Gives me a boost of energy, helps my brain work better, gets my body going. And as I'm getting older, my nitric oxide levels are dropping. And every time I get my blood pressure checked, every time I get my donate blood, they go, your blood pressure and your pulse is amazing for somebody your age. What are you doing? Well, I eat right, keep myself fit, but the nitric oxide works great. Now, if you're going to have a romantic interlude, you can take a second dose of nitric oxide later in the day. Because again, it's only going to last about 6 or 8 hours. But that's just one of the things we can consider. And that'll help increase circulation too, which can flush out waste products and bring blood into areas and oxygen, and that can help with pain too. So the minimum supplements I would say everybody should take would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's the minimum ones you want to take. If you have normal or high blood pressure, I would add nitric oxide to it if you're over 30 years old. I take omega-3 fatty acids for my brain function. I want to make sure my brain is working the best it possibly can. I take B-complex for my nervous system. I take estrogen regulator. Estrogen regulator helps prevent my testosterone from converting into estrogen at my age. And so it's a whole myriad of supplements I take. All of them are on the website, drjoe.com. If you have questions, you can always send me questions through the website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer your questions, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about the things that you do that mess up your sleeping patterns. Not moving enough, being a couch potato, because the body needs activity and it needs rest. That's how the body works best. It needs to be running around and then it needs to rest. If you're a couch potato, you skip your exercise, you skip your just life activities, cleaning the house, doing gardening, going for a walk, going out shopping. The body needs to be in motion during the day so it can rest at night. If you start skipping that activity during the day, you're going to find that you're probably not going to get a good night's sleep because the body needs to be stimulated and then relaxed. You're kind of right in the middle if you're doing that. Don't do that. That's not good. Another thing that can affect your sleep is ignoring mental health issues. You're more likely to have sleep problems if you have an untreated mental health issue. Now, it might be a condition like anxiety, depression, bipolar, or it could be different for different periods of your life. Maybe losing your job, losing a loved one. You know, as we go through, I always look at my life as a book, and my father always called it the book of life. And the chapters keep turning. The pages keep turning. And we go into different chapters of our lives. When we're young, we hope we have our parents around. But as we get older, they get older. And when they pass, it's a rite of passage. You're never the same when your parents pass because now you've kind of moved up a notch in the hierarchy of life. So it could be loss of a loved one. It could be loss of a job. It could be a loss, breaking up a relationship. Whatever it is, we want to address the chemical and the physical aspects of health so that the mental aspects are easier to deal with. So if you have pain, it's harder to deal with emotional issues. If you're putting bad foods in your body, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, it's going to be a lot harder to deal with emotional issues. If you're eating a good diet, the body nervous system is working properly, you're going to be in much better shape to deal with it. Now, in many cases of mental health issues, there's a digestive component that nobody has ever addressed. What do I mean by that? The stomach has one main job, and that job is to take proteins. Now, that protein can come from a steak, it can come from a carrot, and proteins under a microscope look like a ball of yarn. And when you have digestive enzymes in your stomach, it unravels the ball of yarn and chops it up into something called amino acids. Now, the amino acid named tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps with most mental health issues. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. Now, we always thought melatonin helped you sleep and that was it. It was a one-trick pony. Well, it turns out melatonin is really important. In fact, when COVID was a big thing, they used melatonin doses to help people with COVID, and it worked really well. Melatonin helps your mitochondria. There's a part of your cell called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria, it's in every cell except red blood cells, I think. It generates electricity. And if the mitochondria is weakened, you don't generate electricity. The cell can't do its job like it should. And we're finding now with patients with long COVID, and a lot of us, myself included, had long COVID. And with long COVID, the mitochondria are being affected. So we're finding now to treat the long COVID patients, we need to give people things to help the mitochondria work. And one of the things we do, is fix the stomach to create serotonin, to create melatonin, so the melatonin can get into the mitochondria and help the mitochondria generate electricity again, like it was supposed to. So if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, it can be affecting your body's ability to produce neurotransmitters, which then affects mental health. So all of us have some mental health issues, anxiety, depression, bipolar, at some time in our lives. Check the nervous system, check the digestive system, check your diet, and let's see if we can help reboot some of that brain function so that the brain can work more efficiently. It's really cool. And it works in most cases really well. So digestive issues can be an issue with mental health issues. Another problem that people have that prevents them from sleeping properly is they worry too much. How many people do that aside from me? A lot of you do. And I lay in bed and my mind just races. Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I make sure I got that done? I got to email this patient. I got to make sure this gets done for this attorney because we had the car accident case. We got to get the paperwork to them. And it goes on and on and on. So I've solved that problem. What I do is I have in my room, in my kitchen, in my office, in my car, I have a little pad, these little square sticky note pads, super stickies, and I carry them everywhere I go. And I like the ones, they have this, some of the older ones had stickiness just across the top. There's new ones now that have stickiness all the way across the whole pad. And I carry them everywhere. And whenever I have a thought, I write it down. Now I don't have to worry about it because I know it's going to be there tomorrow morning. And I'm going to look at it and go through my sticky notes. Now, my little weird thing is I get a little bit of a thrill every time I get to throw one of them away. I love to come in the office or go to my house, go through the things and say, I'm done with this, throw it away. Some of them are long term. I got to make sure this gets done by such and such, maybe by a month, a year, whatever. And I have a calendar in my computer and my phone, and I do that a lot. But the sticky notes are good for right at the moment. I got to remember to do something now. And so that's going to relieve a lot of stress and a lot of worry, and you're going to sleep a lot better. So keep a pen and a sticky note everywhere you go and just write things down. And you will be amazed how much less you worry about life and how much easier your life is going to be. Other things that can prevent you from sleeping properly: arguing. If you're in a relationship and you have fights and you have angry discussions, especially late at night, it can trigger hormones that keep you awake. It can trigger cortisol. It can trigger norepinephrine and epinephrine. And these are chemicals that kick you into the sympathetic mode, the part of the nervous system that keeps you awake, and that could be a big issue. So if you have tough conversations that you have to have, try to have them in the morning. Now, if you ever studied imago therapy, which is a type of counseling, psychotherapy, you and your partner, whoever you're dealing with, have to be on the same page. And you can do this with your coworkers or family members. You know what, Garrett, I need to talk to you about new supply of supplements coming in. Is now a good time? Garrett can say yes or no. Maybe Garrett's having a tough day. Maybe Garrett's got a lot of stuff on his mind. And he can say, now's not a good time, but let's do it at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I then know that I have that off my plate and I'm able to go to sleep. I'll even write it down on a sticky note to remind me. But you have to figure out a system to deal with issues when they come up in life. And if the people on your team are willing to work with you, great. If they're not, they probably shouldn't be on your team. And again, I'm not a psychologist, but I've been around enough to know, as Jim Croce once said, you old people will know that quote. So be careful about when you discuss things that can be adversely affecting your sleep. We talked about pain, but also the nervous system. Again, there's two types of nerves. There's sympathetic nerves that speed you up, and parasympathetic nerves slow you down. So when you go to sleep, you want to be in the parasympathetic mode. If you had an exciting day, good or bad, if you had a stressful day, if you had a painful day, if you're not digesting your food properly, ate too late at night, you took medications that are stimulants, these can all affect your sleep. So we want to find a way to kick our bodies into the parasympathetic mode, the part of the nervous system that calms you down. So if you have pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatic pain, weakness, come see us. Let's see if we can find out which nerves are being pinched, which is usually the cause, put the bones back in place, open up the nerve supply to the organs, not just for pain and sleep, but to get the body healthier. So if you have health issues, make an appointment. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We would love to be your doctors. So you can book an appointment probably this week. We have openings in every office every day if we can. So drjoe.com, book an appointment right now. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, high deductibles, low deductibles, high copays. We have plans available that are very affordable for everyone. So drjoe.com. We can get the exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation, and then decide what's going to be the best treatment plan for you. Normally, that would be $940. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. So do that right now. Go to the website, drjoe.com, book the appointment, stop putting it off. Biggest complaint I get, why didn't I do this sooner? I don't know why you didn't do it sooner, but you need to do it now. drjoe.com, book the appointment. Let's get that taken care of. And that's going to help so many different things. And countless patients over the years have said, Dr. Joe, since I've been getting adjusted, I sleep so much better. Well, what we're doing is we're normalizing or balancing out the nervous system so that the body can calm down and go into that sleep mode. If the nervous system's excited, it's going to be real hard to get and stay in that sleep mode. So the cause of your sleep issues could be that your nervous system's just out of whack. And let's put it back in whack, if that's a word. drjoe.com. If you wake up and pee, and that's keeping you awake at night, here's my trick. I stop drinking a lot of water about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So in the morning and up till 3 o'clock, I drink a lot. After that, I stop. And the reason is that I find that if I drink 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock's my witching hour, I wake up and pee a lot. And that's going to affect your sleep. Now, you got to think, too, what did you have for dinner? Some foods are diuretic. Celery, for example, is a diuretic. Spinach can be a diuretic. Parsley can be a diuretic. So if you're eating diuretic foods, that can make you pee as well. So you kind of got to look at that. You could just go online, look up diuretic foods, and see which ones make you pee. Coffee, of course, alcohol. We talked about that earlier. So just be careful about those things, and you'll find what works for you. What I'm trying to do is have you an awareness that these things exist. Many of you don't even know they exist, and that's what this show's all about today. If you sleep too much, if you sleep in, you're thinking, I'm going to catch up on lost sleep. You can't catch up on lost sleep. You can try to sleep a little bit more, but you can't say, I'm going to burn the candle at both ends during the week and then catch up on the weekends. The body just doesn't work that way. I used to know a gal, and she worked at CNN. She was an anchor, and she'd wake up every morning at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then she'd go to work. She'd be done by 10. And then she tried having a normal life on the weekends. It didn't work because the body is getting used to one thing. You're switching back and forth, and that can be an issue. Also, if the room isn't dark enough, you might want to get a mask. You can get them at a drugstore, or just put in blackout shades, but try to make the room very dark, and that's going to help your sleep patterns as well. We talked about temperature. We talked about sleep. We talked about water. If you sleep too much, that can mess it up. And we've all done that. You sleep in, you lay around the house all day, and then finally it's time to go to bed, and you're like, oh, I'm just not tired. And you got to kind of reboot yourself. But remember, digestion is such a big player when it comes to sleep. Pain is such a big player when it comes to sleep. The nervous system being excited is a big player when it comes to sleep. So that's why the protocol that we talk about is the nervous system, digestive system, and diet. That protocol is so valuable in so many different aspects of health. If the stomach is up against the diaphragm and you're burping and have gas and bloating and diarrhea and bad breath, you're not digesting food properly. You're not absorbing nutrients to create neurotransmitters like serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin, and then you can't sleep. Fix the gut, get the diet straightened out. Now the body is able to go through the process to make nutrients. And it's amazing when your body gets healthy. People say to me all the time, Dr. Joe, wow, I wish I'd known this when I was a child. I wish my mother knew this before she passed away, because so many of the things you talk about probably could have helped her. I wish I knew this when I was a kid, or my kids were little, because it would have made their lives so much easier. And so my goal is not just get you well, but make your life easy. And it's so much less expensive. It's so much more functional. It's so much more fun. Why wouldn't you want to be healthy? So we would love the opportunity to be your doctors. If you have a question, you could send it to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Making an appointment is very easy, drjoe.com. Do it right online. We're happy to set you up as quickly as possible. If you have questions about, finances, insurance, whatever, just call my office. My staff is all trained to do it. And if you have a question they don't know, there's somebody else in the staff that knows it. And please, folks, if you're ever in a car accident, if the car's damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. And I've been teaching doctors and lawyers and physical therapists and insurance companies about car accidents since I've been in practice, 38 years. I've consulted with insurance companies. I was an on-site consultant for many years on a big insurance company. I won't say who. So I understand how the game is played. But you want to get to us or somebody who's qualified right away. Don't fall for, just because it's a TV advertisement, I'm going to go to that doctor, that attorney. That doesn't mean they're good. That means they made a lot of money, and they may have made it not the best way, and they can afford to advertise. So it may be good, but we have a list of doctors we work with, list of attorneys we work with that I trust. These are the people I would go to if I had a problem. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, drjoe.com. We'd love the opportunity to work with you. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito, at symbol Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every single day. You are going to get so many health tips. We're viral on all the social media platforms because we post good, helpful tips. I get to comment 10, 15, 20 times a day. Thank you for not trying to sell us a bunch of stuff. Thank you for just giving us health tips. So drjoe.com. The elite group, all of you, by the way, need to do this. Go to my website, drjoe.com, sign up for our newsletter. And it's right on the front page of the website. That's the elite group. That's the insider group. We post on health. We talk about nutrition. We talk about pain management. We talk about all these great topics. Many times we have discounts or on coupons on supplements. We have special pop-up lectures that we give. I've given away concert tickets in the past. So it's a great way to be the inner circle. So to become an inner circle, just sign up for it. It's no charge. We never give your email away to anybody else. Unsubscribe at any time. Can't make it any easier. A lot of you don't know that we have Dr. Joe's Super Greens hemp on sale right now, half price. If you had the newsletter, you'd know about that. And so you don't want to miss out on all these great opportunities to get well and stay well. And if you have any questions, again, drjoe.com, happy to work with you. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service, type in Dr. Joe for the health of it, Dr. Joe for the health of it, and we post podcasts twice a week at least, sometimes more. So you have podcasts, you have the website, drjoe.com, that you can search information on. All the supplements we talked about, Super Green, Central Source, Nitric Oxide, Omega-3 fatty acids, and all the other ones are on the website, drjoe.com. Social media, we want to give you the information that you need so you can naturally get well and stay well, hopefully without drugs and surgery. Again, the website, drjoe.com. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for tuning in. All right. What you got?
I'm taking 5 milligrams of amlodipine, a calcium channel blocker for high blood pressure. Can I still take nitric oxide?
Yes. That's an easy one. What else? Garrett said, I wish. The French fries are probably a little worse, only because they're deep fried at a very high temperature. The hash browns are not deep fried, they're at a high temperature, so they're probably just as bad, but you want me to say they're better, and I can't because they're not as bad, but they're still not good. They're still terrible. When you heat potatoes at a high temperature around oil, you create a chemical called acrylamides. And acrylamides are known carcinogens. We know they cause cancer. So if you want to eat something we know can cause cancer, I don't think you should. But if you do, I can't change that. But it's not. It's a Sophie's choice on that one. So, all right, what else you got?
Are mushrooms healthy?
Yes, love mushrooms. Eat them all the time. What else?
That's all I got.
Beautiful.
That's it for the day.
That's it. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Whatever platform you're not following us on, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Dr. Joe Esposito, please do that for me. And we will see you. We're not doing one next week, right? Yeah, we're not doing one next week. So we are? Okay.
I just don't think we're gonna. I don't think we'll have questions.
We won't do questions next week. So, okay, never mind.